The crack of gunfire echoed through the redwoods like a gunshot to my chest. But it was Theo's scream that ripped the night apart. Raw, guttural, not from pain but from something deeper, a soul fracturing under the weight of secrets we'd both been carrying. I spun toward the sound, my boots sinking into the mud of Big Sir's training grounds, heart slamming against my ribs, as if it knew this was the moment everything we'd built in whispers and stolen glances would shatter. "Theo!" I yelled into the fog, my voice swallowed by the relentless Pacific drizzle. But he was gone, vanished like a ghost into the shadows of those ancient trees, leaving only his rucksack slumped against a fern, unzipped and spilling his dog tags into the dirt. We'd been roommates for 6 months at Camp Pendleton, thrown together in the chaos of Marine Corps boot camp recruits. 2 Midwestern kids chasing the American dream of structure and purpose. I was Lucas Hale, 22 from a dusty farm in Iowa, where Sundays meant church and silence about the boys who made my pulse race in high school locker rooms. Theo Ramirez, 23, hailed from a sprawling Latino family in East LA. All fire and poetry, with eyes like polished obsidian that could pin you in place or set your world ablaze. We'd bonded over late-night bull sessions in our barracks bunk, trading stories of absent dads and the itch to escape small-town judgments. "This core thing," he'd say, his voice low as he sketched graffiti-style art on scrap paper. "It's our ticket out, man. No more hiding." I'd nod, pretending my flush was from the desert heat, not the way his knee brushed mine under the thin blanket. But training had a way of stripping you bare, exposing the cracks. The drills were brutal. Endless PT runs along the cliffs, where the ocean roared like it wanted to swallow us whole. Night ops in the fog-choked forests north of base, where one wrong step could mean a twisted ankle or worse, a mind unraveling. Theo thrived at first, his lean runner's build cutting through the pain like a blade, always flashing that crooked grin after a 10-mile hump. "We're unbreakable, loose," he'd murmur during our rare downtime, his hand lingering a beat too long on my shoulder as we scarfed emeries under the stars. I lived for those moments, the electric hum between us when the DIs weren't watching, the unspoken promise that maybe, just maybe, we could be more than brothers in arms. It started fraying during week 14, the survival phase. We'd been dropped into the wilds of Los Padres National Forest for a 3-day solo endurance test. Build shelter, forage, evade enemy patrols. No radios, no backup, just you against the elements and your own demons. Theo and I had pulled strings to pair up for the buddy system, a small rebellion against the isolation. That first night, huddled in a lean-to of pine boughs, the rain pattering like distant applause, he confessed fragments. "My family's Catholic to the bone, man. Abuela's rosary beads are basically my inheritance. If they knew." He trailed off, staring into the fire's glow, his profile sharp against the flames. I wanted to bridge the gap, to tell him I'd felt the same pull since that first awkward handshake, but fear clamped my throat. Instead, I punched his arm lightly. "Screw him. We're here now." He laughed, but it was hollow, and when he leaned his head on my shoulder to rest, I swear the world tilted. By day 2, the cracks widened. Theo grew distant, snapping at my jokes, vanishing for hours during recon sweeps. I'd find him perched on a fallen log, sketching furiously. Twisted figures of men locked in embraces, half erased like sins he couldn't commit to paper. "Just blowing off steam," he'd mutter, crumpling the sheets. I pressed once, under a canopy so thick it felt like confession. "Talk to me, Theo. We're in this together." His eyes met mine, stormy and searching, and for a heartbeat, I thought he'd close the distance. But then a distant chopper thrummed overhead, and he pulled back, muttering, "Can't. Not yet." That night, as thunder rolled in from the coast, he tossed in his sleep, whispering names. His mine, a garbled Perd name. Until I shook him awake, our faces inches apart in the lightning flash. "I'm losing it, loose," he gasped. "This place, it's digging up shit I buried deep." Dawn of day 3 brought the simulated ambush drill. Blank rounds, smoke grenades, the works. We were to link up at extraction point Echo by 0200, but as the enemy firecracker blasts popped around us, Theo bolted ahead, yelling over his shoulder, "Cover me! I'll flank!" I laid down suppressive noise with my M16 trainer, heart in my throat. But when the smoke cleared, he was nowhere. No tracks in the mud. No snapped branches. Just that scream tearing through the dark hours later, followed by silence thicker than the fog. Panic clawed at me. I radioed it in once I hit the rally point. Ramirez, Theo MIA during op. Last seen vector 270. Possible injury. The response was curt. Hail, stand down. SAR teams en route. Return to base. But standing down wasn't in my blood. Theo wasn't just a roommate. He was the gravity holding my orbit steady. Back at Pendleton, the brass grilled me like I was hiding contraband. You too tight? The sergeant major barked, his breath like stale coffee. He say anything off? Desertion vibes. I stonewalled, loyalty fiercer than fear, but inside, doubt gnawed. Was this about us? Had I pushed too hard? Made him run from the thing blooming between us? Days blurred into a haze of recce reports and fruitless sweeps. Drones buzzing the canyons. K-9 units sniffing trails gone cold. I barely slept, haunted by his sketches I'd pocketed from his bunk. Us, stylized as warriors entwined, labeled Forbidden Echo. My platoon mates clapped my back. He'll turn up, farm boy. But their pity stung. In stolen moments, I drive my beat-up Ford up the Pacific Coast Highway. Windows down, blasting Springsteen, screaming lyrics into the wind. We're all just prisoners here of our own device. It was bullshit catharsis, but it kept the void at bay. A week in, betrayal hit like a gut punch. A letter arrived in my mailbox, postmarked LA, addressed in Theo's looping script. My hands shook as I tore it open on the barrack steps, the base's perpetual hum of Humvees fading to white noise. Lucas, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. I can't be what you think. Family found out. Abuela's sick and the priest. He said it's a test from God. I have to fix this my way. Don't look for me. Burn this. T. The words blurred through hot tears. Found out? About what? The sketches. Our almost moments? Rage boiled over. He'd run. Left me to the whispers, the questions, without a fight. I crumpled it but didn't burn it. Instead, I hopped in the truck that night, no plan, just the pull of that postmark like a compass. East LA swallowed me whole. Neon Ticarius flickering under sodium lights. Murals of Aztec warriors staring down like judges. I crashed at a Fleabag motel off Alameda, the kind with roaches hosting their own conventions, and started knocking doors. Theo's family? Stone-walled me at the wrought iron gate of their stucco bungalow. His sister eyeing my buzzcut with suspicion. He ain't here, gringo. Go back to your war games. The parish church, Our Lady of Guadalupe, loomed next. A squat adobe fortress with bells tolling like accusations. Father Morales, a wiry man with eyes like Theo's but colder, met me in the vestibule. Ramirez? He confessed here, yes. Burdened soul. But penance is private, son. Private. The word twisted like a knife. Had Theo spilled us to this man, bartered our fragile what-if for absolution? I wandered the barrio for days, a ghost in civvies, flashing Theo's photo to barbers and bodega owners. Whispers followed. El Chico Ramirez, seen at the shelter on Whittier, talking crazy about demons in the desert. Shelter? Not a flophouse, but St. Jude's Mission, a converted warehouse turned haven for the lost. Vets, runaways, souls too broken for the streets. It was the last place I'd expect. Not some dive bar or back alley hideout, but a beacon of quiet redemption. Murals of saints watching over cots lined with the forgotten. I arrived at dusk, the air thick with arroz con leche from the communal kitchen. And there he was, in the chapel corner, cross-legged on a threadbare rug, leading a circle of wide-eyed kids in storytelling hour. Theo, my fierce marine, reduced to fables? His voice carried soft, weaving a tale of two warriors lost in the woods, one who stayed, one who fled, but found their way back through forgiveness. Our eyes locked across the room, and time fractured. He froze mid-sentence, the kids' giggles dying as recognition dawned. I crossed the space in 3 strides, fists clenched, the letter burning in my pocket. You ghosted me? I hissed, low enough not to shatter the peace. Left me to lie for you, to wonder if you were dead in a ditch. His face crumpled, obsidian eyes fracturing with unshed tears. The circle dispersed like smoke, leaving us alone amid flickering votives. Luce, panicked, Abuela's cancer came back, stage 4. She called during that last drill, begging me to come home, to pray it away. And the dreams, about us. I thought if I confessed, made it right with God, I could be the son she needed. Not this. Half-life. He gestured vaguely at himself, voice cracking. Betrayal? Yeah, it stung, but seeing him there, vulnerable, not vanished but choosing mercy over machismo, shifted something in me. We talked till the mission lights dimmed, huddled on that rug like recruits in a foxhole. He admitted the scream was him hurling his dog tags into the ravine, a symbolic cut from the core, from the man he thought he should be. I betrayed you by running, but mostly myself. Thought love like ours was a weakness, not the strongest thing I've ever felt. My throat tightened. It's not weakness, Theo. It's the only damn thing worth fighting for. I pulled him into a hug then, fierce and unyielding, the kind that says we're still here. No grand gestures, just the raw truth of two guys piecing together a life beyond boot camp binaries. He didn't re-enlist. Neither did I after that night. We drove back to Pendleton together at dawn, the highway unspooling like a promise, and I turned in my gear with his hand steady on my knee. Abuela passed 2 months later, peaceful in her faith, and Theo read her one of his sketches at the graveside. Not the forbidden ones, but a new story of warriors who chose heart over honor. We moved to San Diego, a cramped apartment overlooking the bay, where sunsets paint the water gold and we build something real. Art classes for him, veteran counseling for me. Nights tangled in laughter instead of lies. It's not fairy tale perfect. The core left scars, family echoes linger, and some days the fog rolls in like doubt. But in the quiet, when Theo sketches us anew, I see it. Redemption isn't in vanishing or confessing to strangers. It's in showing up, messy and true, for the love that finds you in the places you least expect. We're unbreakable now, not because we're Marines, but because we're us, flawed, fierce, and finally free.